$3 million for one fish. That's not a headline from a luxury auction house, but the price of a single bluefin tuna sold at Tokyo's legendary Toyosu Market. As flashes from cameras cut through the steam and shouts of bidders, one man claims a creature that took weeks to hunt and hours to haul from the ocean. It looks like wealth and celebration, but behind every bite of sushi that melts on a billionaire's tongue are numbed hands, frozen decks, and a century of unbroken discipline on the sea. This story unfolds along Japan's rugged northern coasts, in ports such as Oma in Aomori Prefecture and Kikatsuura in Wakayama, where tuna fishing is not a profession but a line of inheritance. When the Pacific currents shift and the temperature drops below 15 degrees Celsius, the villages stir to life. Old engines groan awake, harbors fill with mist, and men check their hand lines as their fathers once did. Japanese fishermen call this time Maguro Shiki, the tuna season, a ritual that feeds families and fortunes alike. Every fish caught here travels the world to satisfy a billion-dollar demand for sashimi. And yet the method remains remarkably unchanged, proving that patience and instinct can still outperform machines. Long before sunrise, at around dry a.m., the small fleet in Oma Harbor begins preparing for departure. Air temperature sits near 4 degrees Celsius. Visibility is low. The wind speed averages 8 knots from the northwest. On the dock, each crew checks equipment under yellow floodlights. Carbon-reinforced hand lines, rated to 300 kilograms tension, industrial grade rails, and bait tanks holding 300 liters of live sardines. There are no large trawl nets, no sonar arrays, only GPS for navigation, and a simple depth sounder to read the contour of the seafloor. Every fisherman knows the exact coordinates of past successful grounds. 41 degrees, 31 known. 141 degrees, 1500 E25 nautical miles off the Chuguru Strait, where cold Oyashio currents meet the warm Kuroshio, creating nutrient-rich upwelling that draws the giant bluefin. By 4 a.m., engines roar to life. The boats no longer than 13 meters, each carrying a crew of 5 to 7 men, leave the harbor one after another, their navigation lights cutting through the dark. Travel time to the fishing zone averages 2 hours. Fuel consumption is carefully monitored, roughly 150 liters of diesel per round trip. Once on site, they drop anchor in depths of 80 to 120 meters. The sea temperature at this layer is measured at 14 C/度, optimal for bluefin migration. The captain gives the signal, and the crew begins the baiting process. They scoop live sardines around 20 to 30 grams each from the tank and hook them through the nose to keep them swimming naturally. Then, one by one, they toss them into the sea, forming a glittering school that mimics the natural prey of tuna. The deck goes silent except for the rhythmic slap of waves. The fishermen wait. Average wait time between bites is 40 to 90 minutes, though sometimes nothing happens for hours. Then, without warning, a line snaps tight. The rod bends violently. The reel screeches as 200 meters of line unwind in seconds. The fisherman locks his harness, feet braced wide, and begins the fight. The strain reaches 150 kilograms of pull, enough to lift a motorcycle off the ground. The bluefin dives deep 60 to 70 meters, and then turns, circling the boat. Heart rates rise. Even with gloves, the friction burns through the palms. It takes roughly 25 to 40 minutes of steady, measured tension to exhaust the fish. One mistake, a sudden jerk, or too tight reel can snap the line instantly, losing a catch worth tens of thousands of dollars. When the fish surfaces, its silver-blue body glistens in the morning light, thrashing water in every direction. The deck erupts in motion. One crewman swings the gaff, another loops the tail rope. Together, they heave the 230-kilogram giant over the rail, timing the lift with the roll of the boat. The moment it lands on deck, the crew moves with precision. The head is pierced, the gills cut for immediate bleeding, ensuring premium meat quality. Internal temperature is checked, 36 degrees Celsius, which must drop below 10 degrees Celsius within 1 hour to prevent muscle acidification. The fish is covered in crushed ice from insulated bins. Each boat carries about 800 kilograms of ice per trip. By late afternoon, most boats have landed 2 to 3 bluefin, the combined total weighing around 600 to 700 kilograms. If the ocean is generous, a single trip can yield over $250, $0 in potential auction value, but it's a gamble some days. They return empty, burning fuel and labor for nothing. The catch rate, according to Japan's fisheries agency, averages 0.12 fish per line per day, one of the lowest yields of any fishery in the world, yet that scarcity is precisely what maintains the quality and prestige of Aomori tuna. As the sun dips toward the horizon, the crew turns homeward. The deck is silent except for the steady hum of the engine and the faint hiss of melting ice. The ocean glows copper under the fading light, and the men, faces lined with fatigue, clean their gear in silence. Each fish is logged in the record book: time caught, weight, GPS coordinates, body temperature, and depth. Those numbers determine the price at Toyosu's auction the next morning, where one perfect specimen could sell for hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. For these fishermen, data is not just science. It is survival written in ink, salt, and blood. By the time the boats return to Aomori Harbor, the air smells of salt, diesel, and blood. The sun has barely risen above the cold horizon, and the pier is already lined with buyers, auction clerks, and inspectors from Japan's fisheries agency. Each bluefin tuna is laid carefully on the dock, positioned head to tail on beds of crushed ice. Their bodies glistening in the morning light. The average weight ranges from 210 to 280 kilograms, though the port record still stands at 497 kilograms. Landed in 2019, crews work quickly. Internal temperature must remain below 10 degrees Celsius, and ice meltwater is continuously drained to maintain hygiene. The sorting begins with a ritual-like precision honed over generations but guided today by science. Inspectors in white rubber boots and blue jackets step forward carrying stainless steel coring tools, thermometers, and portable spectrometers. Each fish receives a small incision near the tail, roughly 5 centimeters deep, from which a cross-section of flesh is removed. The color of the meat reveals everything. A deep ruby red indicates high myoglobin levels, while a faint pink suggests lower oxygenation and less muscle density. Fat marbling, called shimofuri, is the most prized trait, and graders visually rank it on a 5-point scale similar to Wagyu beef. Grade 5 for perfect, snow-like streaks. Grade 1 for lean export quality. After visual inspection, data is logged. Each fish is tagged with an RFID code containing catch date, vessel ID, and GPS coordinates of where it was caught. This traceability system was introduced nationally in 2015 to comply with the Regional Fisheries Management Organization (RFMO) regulations and to prevent illegal or unreported catches under Japan's quota for Northern Pacific bluefin tuna. Each registered port is allotted an annual cap. Oma's is roughly 100 metric tons per season. Exceeding that quota can result in license suspension or fines up to 10 yuan million. Regulation also governs size. By law, any tuna under 30 kilograms is considered juvenile and must be released immediately at sea. Fisheries patrols enforce this rule using satellite data and random inspections at port. Crews are required to report juvenile releases daily through the e-logbook system, an electronic platform linked directly to the fisheries agency. In recent years, compliance rates have exceeded 94%, a figure often cited as proof that traditional fishermen can coexist with modern sustainability. Next comes grading by quality, the most anticipated moment of the day. Officials and buyers gather as graders call out numbers. A 5, 238 kilograms. Fat, index 4. C. The crowd murmurs. Each tuna's value fluctuates dramatically. A grade A5 specimen can command 1 yuan, 5 to 2 yuan, 2 million per fish, about $10, 000 to $15, ling ling ling, while a record-breaking piece with perfect fat distribution can soar into the millions of dollars at New Year auctions. Those with uneven coloration or bruising are marked as secondary grade and sent for domestic distribution or canned processing. Nothing is wasted. Even bones and fins are auctioned to collagen manufacturers. Environmental inspectors move among the rows, noting details in waterproof tablets. Core temperature 9°C. Dale incision clean. Nu visibly bruising. Every fish must meet the hazard analysis and critical control point (HACCP) CP standards for food safety before being approved for shipment. This certification ensures that the tuna will maintain its color, texture, and food grade quality even after 60 degrees Celsius flash freezing. As the work continues, the noise of the port becomes rhythmic. The scrape of knives against ice, the hiss of water pumps, the call of numbers echoing through the morning fog. For the fishermen, this is the reckoning, a season's worth of labor condensed into 30 minutes of evaluation. Some smile quietly when they see the fat shine beneath the flashlight. Others look away when their catch receives a lower grade. But even then, respect prevails. They bow slightly toward the fish, a gesture older than any regulation, because here, compliance is not just a rule. It's a continuation of trust between man, ocean, and the generations that follow. By late morning, the last of the tuna has been graded, tagged, and loaded into refrigerated trucks idling beside the dock. Within hours, data from every fish is uploaded to the National Fisheries Database: weight, fat index, temperature, vessel ID, and GPS coordinates. Oma's daily output rarely exceeds 5 metric tons. But the economic weight of that modest number is immense. On an average season, the port lands between 90 and 110 metric tons of northern bluefin tuna, contributing roughly 3 yuan, 8 billion in total auction value, equivalent to nearly $25 million USD, from a village of fewer than 6,000 residents. Japan as a whole harvests approximately 15,000 tons of Pacific bluefin annually, a figure that represents less than 1% of global tuna landings, yet accounts for nearly 40% of the world's total market value for premium sashimi-grade species. By comparison, Spain and Mexico together produce around 10,000 tons through large-scale ranching, while the United States' Atlantic fleet lands barely 200 tons a year under strict NOAA quotas. What Japan lacks in quantity, it more than compensates for in quality. The Oma region consistently records the world's highest average auction price per kilogram, around 35 yuan, $230 USD, compared with 9 yuan, $60. In other ports, at the Toyosu Market in Tokyo, the country's beating economic heart of seafood, the scale of this operation becomes visible. Over 600 bluefin arrive each week from every major fishing ground: Hokkaido, Aomori, Nagasaki, Okinawa, totaling an average of 320 tons of fresh and frozen tuna, circulating through the auction floor every 7 days. The most exceptional specimens, the Oma giants, are stored separately in glass-walled cold rooms maintained at 2 degrees Celsius, awaiting the high-stakes New Year's auction. When the bidding begins, prices can soar beyond comprehension. 300 yuan million, $2, 1 million, 400 million to 8 million. And in 2019, the record-shattering 333 yuan, 6 million, $3, 1 million for a single 278 kilogram fish, roughly $11 per kilogram. But beyond these headline numbers, most transactions are quiet and steady, sustaining thousands of families and small businesses. Roughly 62% of Japan's bluefin enters domestic markets, supplying restaurants and supermarkets nationwide. Another 38% is exported mainly to the United States, Hong Kong, Singapore, and South Korea. Export volume has grown by 12% annually since 2020. Driven by the global appetite for authentic Japanese sashimi. Each shipment follows an unbroken cold chain, from the pier's insulated containers to 60 degrees Celsius freezer warehouses near Narita Airport, then onto cargo flights bound for Los Angeles or New York. The total export value of Japanese bluefin now exceeds $1, 3 billion USD per year, making it one of Japan's most lucrative wild-caught fisheries, despite its relatively small tonnage. On the deck, numbers translate into reality. A single well-graded tuna weighing 250 kilograms can sell for 4 yuan million $27. Ling ling ling, which, divided among a 5-man crew after expenses, amounts to roughly 500 yuan. Ling ling ling, san mei yuan, 300 per fisherman for one fish. Yet the cost of operation fuel, bait, ice, maintenance, and insurance consumes nearly 60% of total revenue, leaving profit margins thin and unpredictable. That's why the auction floor is a place of both celebration and anxiety. A perfect catch can change a family's fate. A bad season can bury them in debt. Still, in a global context, Japan's bluefin fishery remains a statistical anomaly, a low-yield, high-value industry that thrives on scarcity and precision. Every data point from catch per unit effort, 0, Dodachi, fish per line per day, to average core temperature, Otto, 7 degrees Celsius, reflects a harmony between human craftsmanship and biological restraint. In an age of industrial overfishing, this balance has made the century-old OMA method not just a cultural heritage, but an economic model studied by fisheries economists worldwide. As the trucks roll out of the harbor and the engines fade into the distance, the pier falls silent again. Only the wet outlines of where the tuna once lay remain on the ice, melting slowly under the pale light of noon, a quiet reminder that in this village, scale is not measured by volume, but by value, tradition, and respect for every life taken from the sea. By the time the last refrigerated truck leaves the dock, a day's work worth millions has already entered Japan's economic bloodstream. The numbers may look small on paper, a few hundred tons here, a few thousand tons there, but their financial gravity is immense. Bluefin tuna is one of the highest value fish species in the world, accounting for less than 1% of Japan's total seafood volume, yet contributing nearly 20% of its seafood export revenue. In 2024, Japan's premium bluefin exports surpassed 190 billion yen, equivalent to $3 billion USD, making it a cornerstone of the nation's coastal economy. Despite its small footprint, for fishermen, however, the story behind those figures is far more fragile. The average OMA handline fisherman earns between 4 yuan, 5 million, and 9 yuan million per year, $30, $60, $0, depending on weather, quotas, and catch rates. A single perfect fish, auction for 4 million subactive, ling, can lift an entire crew's income for the month, but a week of storms or a broken engine can erase profits just as quickly. The cost structure is unforgiving. Roughly 60% of gross revenue disappears into expenses. Diesel fuel, 120 yuan, 000 per trip. Ice and bait, 40 yuan, ling. Maintenance and insurance, 30 yuan, ling. And crew shares that must be paid before profit is calculated. What remains is divided equally among 5 or 6 men, sometimes leaving less than 70 yuan, $470 per person for several days of work at sea. To mitigate volatility, cooperatives play a central role. Each port operates under a local fisheries cooperative association, Jokyo, which negotiates quotas, bulk purchases supply, and ensures compliance with national regulations. Members contribute a small percentage, typically 2 to 3% of each sale, to the cooperative fund, which provides insurance against accidents, fuel subsidies, and collective marketing. These co-ops also manage auction participation rights, allowing small-scale fishermen access to Toyosu Market, where major buyers like Sushi Zanmai, Kyubi, and Kiyomura Co. Limited dominate the bidding. At the Toyosu auction, the economic chain stretches from the fishermen to traders, distributors, and restaurateurs. Roughly 35 to 40% of final retail value goes to the fishermen, another 20% to logistics and processing companies, and the remaining 40% accumulates downstream among wholesalers, retailers, and high-end restaurants. By the time a slice of Oma tuna reaches a sushi counter in Ginza or Beverly Hills, its price has multiplied tenfold from 15 yuan, 000 per kilogram, $100, on the dock to 150 yuan, ling ling ling, yi meiyuan, 000 per kilogram on a dinner plate. Yet, despite these staggering markups, traditional fishermen rarely see wealth. The industry depends on consistency, not extravagance. In good seasons, a veteran fisherman might earn as much as 12 yuan million, $80, $0. But in poor years when typhoons strike early or quotas tighten, incomes can drop below 3 yuan million, $20. Ling ling ling, barely above subsistence. Japan's Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, MAF, reports that over 42% of small-scale tuna fishermen are over the age of 60, and the number of active boats in Oma has declined from 120 inches, 1,995, to just 36 inches, 2024. Aging crews and rising costs threaten the continuity of this century-old trade. Still, what keeps them at sea is not only money, but legacy. Each successful season reinforces an unspoken contract between generations, fathers passing boats to sons, mothers keeping cooperative records, and children waiting for the annual New Year's auction to see their family's name printed on a price board. Beyond the village, the ripple effect of a strong tuna season sustains local ice factories, welding shops, fuel suppliers, and cold storage warehouses. Economists estimate that every 1 yen earned from bluefin tuna generates 2-4 yen in secondary economic activity through regional industries. For small coastal towns like Oma, it is not merely fishing. It is the heart of the local GDP. And when a record-breaking fish sells for hundreds of millions of yen, the wealth doesn't stay confined to the buyer's circle in Tokyo. Portions of those funds flow back to the villages, funding harbor repairs, scholarships for fishermen's children, and seasonal community festivals that celebrate the return of the fleet. The world sees glamour, the flashbulbs, the headlines, the billionaire restaurateur bidding millions. But behind those moments lies a quiet economy of endurance men and women, balancing hope against hardship, data against weather, and an ocean that never gives guarantees. In the end, bluefin tuna remains more than a luxury commodity. It is a living economy, sustained by human precision and risk. Every yen earned from the sea carries the weight of sleepless nights, frozen hands, and the unbroken rhythm of tradition. For Japan's coastal towns, this cycle from hook to auction to export is not just business, it is survival, written in salt and sacrifice. Once the sale is made, science takes over. The fish are chilled to 60 degrees Celsius within minutes, flash freezing the color and flavor that define premium maguro. Some vessels process on board, carving the body into precise loins sealed in vacuum packs. Others transport them whole in seawater tanks, kept between 41 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit until delivery at auction. From Toyosu's loading bays, refrigerated trucks rush to airports, and within 24 hours the same fish appears in New York, Dubai, or Seoul. What diners taste as freshness is actually the perfection of preservation. A chain of cold, precision, and respect stretching from one small Japanese harbor to the world's most elegant tables. Across the Pacific, echoes of this tradition survive. In Massachusetts and Hawaii, American fishermen still battle giant bluefin using manual gear inspired by Japanese methods. In Alaska, salmon crews work under similar principles. Take only what the sea gives. Preserve the stock. Respect the cycle. From Louisiana's shrimp boats to Texas ranches. These heritage industries remind the world that technology alone cannot replace tradition, and that craftsmanship and patience remain the truest currencies of sustainability. This is not just a story about a fish that sold for $3 million. It is a story about human willpower against an endless sea, about families who measure time not in years, but in seasons of tides and returns. When the auctioneer's hammer falls and the crowd erupts somewhere, a fisherman bows to the ocean, grateful to have come home alive. Would you choose modern technology or the wisdom of tradition to secure our ocean's future? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this journey moved you, remember to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of courage, craft, and the sea.